This is the Internet Web Plain Talk, and I'm Norman Liss. This program is dedicated to helping you learn more about the Internet and the web in real plain talk. We have a great opportunity today because my guest today is Bill Sweeny, who is a program manager in the Internet division of IBM. And we're going to learn a lot about IBM and where it thinks the Internet is going. I don't think anybody knows for sure. But first I want to tell you how I got to him. I received information from the Westchester Association of Women Business Owners indicating a May 31st symposium finding a way to get things done to make things happen. And on the program is Bill Sweeny, program manager of Internet Division at IBM, who is going to, according to this material, take people into cyberspace. Well, it was an opportunity I couldn't miss, so I invited Bill Sweeny to join us today, and I am so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that we have an opportunity to talk about IBM and the Internet. So let's start that way. Let's say it. What is IBM and the Internet? What is IBM doing on the Internet? And we've only got a half hour. Okay.
IBM is really a big believer in the Internet. I mean, we have a strategy to deliver services across a network. And the Internet has grown really into kind of the de facto network out there to reach people across in every country. It's ubiquitous in its connectivity, which it will reach everyone. And so IBM is working on software and services and utilize the Internet as a delivery service. Of course, IBM still does corporate networks and has its own private networking, but in terms of reaching the maximum number of people in the most cost-effective way, IBM is very much focused on the Internet.
You must, you've been with the company for 16 years, you must have seen an enormous amount of changes that have taken place in the field and in IBM. Does anybody know where the Internet is going?
Well, I would say there's probably not anyone who knows where it's going. In fact, there are very few people who know really how big it is and how many people it really reaches. But IBM's gone through a lot of changes, and one of the things the Internet demands is a much faster rate of introduction of products and services, and introducing things before they're finished, as a matter of fact.
Really?
People call it beta release.
Oh, yes.
Which means you think you're done, you think it works pretty well, but you need some customer feedback.
So how does that work?
And basically companies across the industry will just place their software out on the web and invite anyone and everyone to download it and try it and give them feedback.
So IBM is doing that on a regular basis?
IBM is starting to do that, and it's very different than the previous corporate culture where you would work on your product to the 99.9 percentile and then deliver it. And so it's a major shift in IBM, and in fact, from a development point of view, we now talk about web years, which are, in order to offer something on the web, you have to do it at such an incredible rate. It's much, much more rapid than a normal calendar year.
That reminds me of something that I heard, and I've mentioned before in this program, is that an era today is measured in months.
Right. Things change fast.
The area in which you're working at IBM is technical strategies. What does that mean?
Well, we were a group that helped bring the Internet into IBM in terms of getting it as part of our strategy across all the divisions. And that's happened, and IBM is strongly embracing the Internet. Now we're looking to the next step. We're looking for good technologies within IBM research, within the industry. They don't have to be made by IBM. The right technologies to launch the next set of services and next set of products. And so we're focused on that next step.
The next set of products a secret? I know there was a big conference recently in Paris where people talked about the Internet. You hear about it. It's kind of a love-hate relationship that I have. I love it. I love being on it, but I hate it because I don't know where to go most of the time. And of course, unfortunately or fortunately, you get involved, you get hooked, and you start playing around. So where's it going? What's all happening? What's the direction that you can forecast from your experience?
Well, really, there's no secret in terms of what are the technologies people are working on, because there's much more open working together and placing your technologies out for discussion because you want them to be pervasive. The secret is which ones are going to become successful, and no one knows the answer to that secret.
So what do you do? So you try many directions? You you shoot out in every direction, and wherever it lands, that's the one you want to be in?
I don't think you do it in that manner. You tend to look at what are the most promising areas. There's a lot of work being done now in terms of audio and video delivery across the internet. That's an interesting area. That includes video conferencing as well as just playing movies and videos on the internet. There's electronic commerce, which is very, very important.
What does that mean?
That means the ability to transact business on a public network like the internet.
Would you have a problem with giving out your credit card number, and isn't there a security problem?
Well, I think it's the biggest hurdle there is the behavior change of people. Technology will enable this. And if you think about what you do every day, you may go into a gas station and take your credit card and swipe it in the credit card thing. You go into a restaurant and you hand someone a credit card and they take it into the back room. You call up an 800 number and they ask you, may I steal your credit card number? And you say, yes, certainly, and you give it to them. You never meet any of those people. You have no idea where your credit card number is going, and yet you do it. I think that ultimately the transaction on the internet will be more secure than one that you do in everyday life today.
There are ways to make it secure?
Yes, there are technologies. IBM is helping introduce one of the technologies that allow you to encrypt your information, which means no one can see it except those that have the special key. And if you transact business with a merchant on the internet, you will transact business with them and order a product. And that will be encrypted. And within there is your credit card number. The merchant will not see your credit card number. It's in normal everyday life. Your merchant has your credit card slips in the garbage, wherever. That credit card number is passed on to a financial institution automatically in this transaction. Only the financial approving agency sees your credit card number, passes a message back to the merchant and says you have a reasonable chance of being paid, which is all anyone can guarantee. And you make that transaction, and your credit card number has not been in the clear for anyone to see, other than the financial institution.
The use, of course, of being able to purchase something is very important. I keep hearing that there are very few organizations that have used the World Wide Web as yet to make a profit. Are there any examples of people who have used it successfully during these embryonic stages?
Yeah, I would say that we have evolved from maybe in '94 people did some window shopping, and maybe in '95 people were actually purchasing, and that was maybe revenue but not profit to the business. But as we got to the latter part of '95, I think the businesses were showing a profit. But it's not just in retail goods sold. It can be, for instance, Federal Express is an example a lot of people use. Because they were the first in their industry. They put information on the web where you could put your package number in there and track the progress of your package from your home, dialing in without having to speak to anyone. And what it did was reduce their cost structure in terms of the number of people and the 800 number answering to check on your package, and it increased their customer satisfaction in that people were happier to do it that way. They could do it 24 hours a day very easily. So they utilized the internet for increasing customer satisfaction and reducing costs. They weren't after selling goods on there. So there are many ways to be successful on the web.
We hear the term interaction, that people actually can input and get out. That's a good example of that. Is that the key? Is interaction the key to the success of the web, commercial success?
Well, I think that because of its reach and its ease of people getting to it, it is ideal for consumer and retail goods. It's also changing in that there's more business-to-business focus as well. To add that, that's a little bit longer in coming. But reaching the retail consumer, it's a very convenient method to do that. So, yes.
So, you mentioned business-to-business and consumer. So there are various audiences as far as companies are concerned. A corporate approach may be different. A large company may be just interested in so-called putting an electronic brochure out there so people can get information without going into an automobile showroom, for example. But business to business, how does that work? And I know what business to business is, of course, but how does that work on the web?
Well, it's really in the very early stages because business to business, in a sense of what people call EDI or electronic data interchange, is where if we were businesses and I was purchasing from you, we would have a standard format for the orders and the receipt of those things. Those standards have not yet really become pervasive on the web. They are on private networks, and our businesses services would connect to those private networks. But that's coming to the web, and it's not there as much as the consumer emphasis is and the retail emphasis.
What else is coming to the web?
Well, as I said, I think audio and video is pretty enticing, and that includes things like internet telephones, and that's got the interest of telephone companies, obviously, because right now if you want to use an internet telephone, you'll dial your local access to the web, and you'll be able to speak to someone through the microphone and speaker in your computer, and all you've done is had a local telephone call, and you may be having a conversation with your relative in another part of the country or the world. Now the quality varies from very poor to walkie-talkie, CB radio, but it's showing that the technology exists, and it'll get better.
And what else is in the future? Let's look into the IBM crystal ball and see what else is happening.
Well, I think that aside from some of the other things I mentioned, I think that really the most important for IBM is enabling businesses, to improve their competitive edge. And we're not trying to get into each company's business. We're trying to allow them to enhance what they do, and that doesn't necessarily have to be electronic commerce. Doesn't have to be audio and video delivery. But another key aspect of the internet is really unleashed intranets, which is
intranet,
right, which is within a corporation, so that corporations are now utilizing internet technologies that they don't want to share with the consumers and other companies. They want to use that as a vehicle inside the company to deliver
closed-circuit television, so to speak.
Right. Yes, and so within their network, they'll deliver benefits information, product information, customer support tip files, help on the support. They'll deliver anything and everything that they'd like their employees to know.
Is it possible to provide access only to limited people?
Sure, and you can combine the two. You can have your own intranet, which is for your own corporation or university or school or whatever, and you can separate yourself from the internet, which is the public worldwide network, through something they call a firewall. A firewall is a security wall, and it allows traffic to flow out and only designated traffic to flow in. So not any university student who wants to break into a company will encounter a firewall, and they'll think it is a lot of fun to try to break through that. Some do, some don't. So it's a very important technology.
The small business person, right? The large corporation, of course, has all these availabilities. How about the small corporation? How about the small business? How about the 2 or 3 person business?
Right.
How can they have an effective website that people will come to and will provide the sort of service that they can provide in other ways?
Right. And there's a lot of companies out there, IBM included, who offer internet services for those companies that aren't going to build it themselves or have IBM build it. You essentially rent space. So you can get a website where you don't have to own the machine, you don't have to control it, support it. You essentially just rent a piece of a machine. And now you can have a website, and no one really knows whether or not you own it or manage it. And if it's not your business, I don't know why you'd want to spend money doing that. Yeah. And in terms of access to the internet, you can get that on any basis you want. Many user IDs, very few. It's very, very flexible.
Now, it's also very good for nonprofit organizations. You are doing something with a school, aren't you?
Right. Right. I have early last February, put up a website for my children's elementary school. And 2 examples of that I'd like to cite there are, one is this website, I rented space very, very cheaply at a company in California. I chose to not go with my own company and just and have that outside. And so our website, although it's for a school in Norwalk, Connecticut, is actually in Santa Cruz, California. And no one knows that because the internet is distance and location independent. The second thing that I kind of learned from this site is, although it's interesting and it's fun and it generated some excitement in the school, there's kids' poetry and writing and things like that out there. There isn't a whole lot of what someone might classify as value. and yet it's been visited by people in every state in the United States.
Why?
And 55 countries, foreign countries.
Why, Bill?
I think that a lot of other schools maybe are curious about what another school has done on the web. People are curious. They search on topics that the kids may have written about, and it just lands them there. You know, they don't know where they're going. They do a search on a topic, or exchange of information between students. We get electronic mail from kids all around the world looking for pen pals across the internet, looking for joint projects. And so there's a lot of activity, a lot of reasons.
That the topics that the kids put in there, so that is the way it's set up, so that the kids provide topics, and then we've used the term linking, which is, of course, what the web's all about. So you've linked that, you've got that into all the search machines so that...
Yes. Yeah, when we put the site up, what we did was, it was before they had all these, what they call now, robots that go and search the web on their own. We registered our site with Yahoo when Yahoo was very, very...
Which is a search machine.
Which is a large directory. And we registered with all the search engines and large directories out there. Nowadays, each of the major search engines has these robots that run at night or once a week, and they search the web on their own and build a huge index of what's out there. In fact, there are some that claim to have billions of words in their index.
No, explain that now. This is a new subject.
Right.
At night, these electronic robots go through everything new that's been bought, everything that's on there?
Or they go out there and hunt down websites and look at the information on there and actually build tables of references to those websites. So if you were searching on something on, let's say, the school, and we had a topic up there, or the school name, or the city it's in, let's say Norwalk, Connecticut, it would be embedded in those index tables. And so when you go to search through this search engine, it doesn't go out and look at the web real time when you ask it. It looks in its own table. And so it can give you an answer in 10 seconds or 30 seconds based on its own reference information. And then it'll say, here, go point to that site, go look at this site, go look at that one.
I want to come back and ask you a question when I come back to you about how you feel about seeing all the things that are happening. But first, I do want to remind our viewers that we're talking today with Bill Sweeny, who is program manager at IBM's Internet Division, and he is providing in good, clear talk, no technical terms, and insight into some of the things that are happening in the web from IBM, our good local neighbor, and certainly a leader for many, many years in what's happening in this whole wonderful world of electronic communication. As we've said, you've been with the company for 16 years and you've been involved with the internet. I am overwhelmed by the possibilities, and then you talk to me about some of the things that are happening. How do you react to it? You're right in the middle of it. Do you look around and say, what's happening? I mean, what are we doing, and where is it going, and where is it going to stop? And that robot thing has kind of set me here and said, is it unlimited?
Well, one of the things that's really been enabled by the internet is that anyone can be a publisher on the internet. Anyone can really be an entrepreneur, so that you don't have to have a large corporation to develop some new software. It can be one or two people working in their garage, and then they build a website, they put their software out there, people start downloading it, trying it, they like it. Downloading it means taking it from that website and bringing it down to their own PC at home, running it and trying it, and all of a sudden now two people have a software product being used by hundreds of thousands of people, and now they have a business. And in the past, there wasn't that delivery channel that enabled the small business to grow like this. I mean, your delivery channel is almost free with the web. And so it's enabled so much more activity. And so I would say that it's the pace and the breadth of this industry that's different than anything I've been involved in.
Does it overwhelm you at times, being in the middle of it?
I think trying to keep up with everything overwhelms anybody. So you have to pick your spots and what is it you want to know most about, and in general know what's going on in all the other areas, because you just can't possibly be an expert at everything.
Thinking about the fact that you were coming on this program, you open up the Sunday Times magazine and you say a 2-page spread, IBM and the Internet, and then you turn a few more pages, another spread, IBM on the Internet, a different aspect. You talk about delivery, info sage, I think you call it. There's so many directions, and nobody's putting any plugs in them. And as you said earlier, you just go, and see which one is going to work. What is this info sage?
Well, info sage, and it has what I might call a companion service called Info Market. Info Sage is a service that is essentially your agent. You put in a profile of your interest areas, like you may be interested in what's going on the Internet, or you may be interested in media, or any industry, or education, or sports, or whatever. You fill out a profile, and 1, 2, or 3 times a day, it's searching for you, and it will send you, either through electronic mail or through a website where you go look at it, interesting articles related to your profile. And you'll see the article title, the source, and 1 or 2 sentences. And based on the 20 articles it gets for you every day or every half day, you'll look at that and you say, gee, that one's interesting. And you say, I'd like more information, and get the full text on that. And quite often the full text is free as part of the service, or sometimes the full text comes from a source that charges for information. And so it's essentially, it pushes information to you based on what you want to know. The other service, Info Market, is a pull, in a sense that you go out there and you pull information you're interested in. So you'll go, and it's a search engine, and it's a directory, and it's linked to many, many private databases and public databases. So if you want to search on your favorite topic, it will respond with information. So there's those 2 services, one that'll push information to you and the other that'll allow you to pull it.
What other services, I can't keep up with them, that is IBM offering?
Well, IBM offers the basics as well. You can get, not only do corporations get dial access, but any consumer can sign up for IBM's dial access as well. We have...
in other words, you're in competition with America Online and all of the other services, providing the same services?
Well, there's, let's say, 2 flavors of dial access service. One is an online service, which is like an AOL or Prodigy or a CompuServe, where they feed you with information. You dial into it and you click here for sports, click here for weather, click here for business news. They're constantly feeding you content. And an internet service provider will let you open up the door and step out onto the internet, give you a starting place, but you're on your own. Now, many people like to be spoon-fed and like to be fed that information, but I prefer, and many other users prefer, the freedom of getting out on the internet and choosing where I want to go.
So IBM is providing both of those?
Well, IBM, until recently, I guess this week in the news, was partnered in Prodigy, which was an online service.
Yes.
But the internet service provider end of IBM is something we call IBM.net. So you or I could pay a monthly fee like with another internet service provider and get onto the internet. We have access numbers all around the world. 600 local dial numbers all around the world, 45 countries, I think it is now. So it's very pervasive, and if you're a traveler, that's an advantage to going with a larger provider. You can get a smaller provider locally, and it could be a kid with a bank of modems in his garage giving access to his friends. That's the span of services you can choose.
The scope of this bill, aside from the issues of censorship and pornography, which we read a lot about, you see any dangers in this enormous web of communication? Well,
I hear that more and more college students have their grades going downhill, and it's blamed on too much time on chat rooms and news groups and things like that. But I think it's like any other media. There's good content, there's very useful content, there's bad content, there's useless content. Just like anywhere, magazines, TV, radio. You have to use the good parts and take the most advantage of it.
Yeah, young people today don't know that there was a time before television. And the young people of tomorrow, if not today, won't know that there was a time before the Internet, or whatever form it takes as it develops. Of course, they'll be brought up on it, I suppose. And it will lose its novelty, I suppose. And it is an entertainment medium as well, and as well as a practical medium. You can find anything, and I have. I searched for so many things and found them. Is there a new step coming? Is there something on the horizon that you know because of IBM?
Well, from a business aspect, we're getting into a lot of new technologies, and some of them we're showcasing on things like our support of the Atlanta Olympics. We have a website with some of our new technologies are being used to run it. From an entertainment side, there's things like interactive games, and where that goes, who knows? But there's a lot more. As speed of your connection goes up, there's a lot more exciting interactive things you can be doing from an entertainment point of view. That's probably going to be a growing area.
Danger signs?
I don't know. Just like anything else, don't get hooked on it. To where you can't control it.
But beyond the danger. Is it too much?
I don't think so. I think it just enables, it unlocks so many doors. It's good. It's
not overkill in any sense, and having too much available to us.
Probably too much hype. But again, too much available is just a matter of choice. Choose what it is you're interested in. Choose what it is helps you, helps your business, helps your kids, and there's just a vast number of choices, and I think that's a good thing.
Is it? Do you think it's possible for a business to exist without being on the internet? If not today, certainly in the time that's coming.
Some people relate it to having a business without a fax machine. And every business nowadays has a fax machine.
Yes.
I think every business will want to connect to the internet ultimately to exchange information with its customers or other businesses.
And ultimately, we have run out of time.
Okay.
And that always happens about this time in the program. And I thank you so much for coming today. I've been talking today with Bill Sweeny, a program manager at IBM Internet Division. Fascinating look at what's happening and what will be happening. I'm Norman Liss. The name of this program is Internet Web Plain Talk. Go try it. Go use it. You'll make a great deal of progress with it.
Thank you.